I never thought I would see Toyota join the sides of General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis, but things are changing. Over at Automotive News, those four companies I just mentioned, what's Stellantis is a newer company, but essentially that is Chrysler and Dodge, right? Them with Toyota, Ford, and General Motors investing over $170 billion on EV production through 2030. But together they are urging Congress to lift or extend the EV tax credit. So Monday the 13th is when those companies asked Congress to lift a cap on the $7,500 electric vehicle tax credit, citing higher costs to produce zero-emission vehicles. The CEOs, GM's Mary Barra, Ford's Jim Farley, Stellantis Carlos Tavares, and Toyota North America CEO Tetsuo Ogawa, or we call him Ted, right, said in the joint letter to congressional leaders that they have pledged to invest over $170 billion through 2030. That tax credit begins to phase out quarter by quarter once they hit over 200,000 vehicles sold, and that includes plug-in hybrids. And if you look at Toyota, Toyota's tax credit should be ending around right now, and then it's going to slowly dwindle by the time we're talking about this next year. As long as nothing changes, they will be out of tax credits. So the RZ from Lexus and the BZ4X and maybe another BZ vehicle, which could be coming next year, they won't have this tax credit because essentially Toyota has sold too many Prius and RAV4 Prime plug-in hybrids. They've taken away from this tax credit. We know General Motors hasn't had it for a few years, as well as Tesla. Ford should be running out potentially this year, as well as Nissan. I'm surprised Nissan wasn't in on this. They asked that the per automaker cap be removed with a sunset date set for a time when the EV market is more mature. But if I was them, that sunset date would probably be around 2030. They're saying EVs are getting more expensive. Well, everything is, right? But especially EVs, which that wasn't supposed to be the case. EVs were supposed to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper over time, but thanks to China and other things going on in the world, supply chain is completely wrecked and the raw materials have gone up exponentially in price too. So even the non-EV cars are a lot more expensive, but the EV ones especially. And just last week, Ford Executive Chairman Bill Ford made an unannounced trip to Capitol Hill to make the case for extending this EV tax credit. Back in April, Senator Joe Manchin, a Democrat from West Virginia, questioned the need to extend EV tax credits. He says there's a waiting list for EVs right now and fuel price at $4. Well, here we are just a couple months later, right? And fuel is 20% more, if not more, expensive than $4 per gallon. They still want us to throw $5,000 to $7,000 or even $12,000 credit to buy electric vehicles. It makes no sense to me whatsoever, he said. We can't produce enough product for the people that want it, and we're going to pay them to take it. It's absolutely ludicrous in my mind. I understand that argument. Here's the thing. There is no perfect implementation of this EV tax credit. You could scale it based off of person's income, but that doesn't really make sense because income is relative compared to where you live. You could scale that tax credit based off the price of the vehicle, which would make more sense because more affluent people might not want to pay for cheaper cars. Maybe they don't want cheaper cars. So EVs become more affordable for the masses, around $30,000 to $40,000. I'm all for that, but I'm sure there are plenty of holes in that argument as well. Last year, the Democrats wanted an additional EV tax credit for union-built vehicles here in the United States. Toyota, of course, didn't want anything to do with that, claiming it was unfair and picking sides, which I agree with. But this new letter makes no reference to the union incentive. And that's why Toyota is on board with the big three from Detroit on this one, because it's an even playing field. Everyone gets the tax credit, regardless of where the vehicle is made, regardless of whether it's made by union hands or non-union hands, regardless of what company. And Biden also backed a 30% credit for commercial vehicles and a $4,000 used EV tax credit. That's an interesting one. Can you imagine on like a Nissan Leaf, a used Nissan Leaf, you get a $4,000 used EV tax credit? Man, those things would skyrocket in price. And here's another thing. They are talking about making the current credit refundable at the point of sale. And I believe that's how Canada does it. And it makes more sense to me because then it doesn't matter how much money you make or how much you're paying into your federal taxes, because with the $7,500 tax credit, it really only benefits people who are paying in $7,500 in federal taxes to begin with. So that $7,500 tax credit has been benefiting more affluent United States citizens. But if it's refundable at the point of sale, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you get that benefit up front. So it's not a tax credit at that point. It would be like an instant rebate or some sort of grant. I really don't understand how it would work, but it wouldn't have anything to do with income tax at that point. Now, Biden also said he was for phasing out credits for EVs made outside the United States. Canada didn't like that. Mexico didn't. Look, General Motors, actually all of them are going to be building EVs. All these companies will be building EVs inside America and Canada and Mexico and probably in China. Who knows if those Chinese vehicles would make it here stateside, but definitely the Canadian and Mexican made ones. And knowing the government, they're going to take their sweet time in making a decision on this. Meanwhile, many of these companies have either lost their EV tax credit status or are running out of it as we speak. I'm sure you guys have already put down below your thoughts and your opinions on the EV tax credit. Should we have one? Should we let the free market reign? Should there be no EV tax credit at all and just let the best products win, whether it's battery electric or gasoline? I'll let you guys battle it out down below. You have better ideas than I do, so I'll be reading what you guys have to say. If you made it this far in the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more updates on the industry, especially on the Japanese and Korean auto. And catching the next one. Take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day.